affiliate to sports councils, if not federations. Now, if you give just an individual, maybe take, for instance, boxing ring, and that person does not even have a place where to take that boxing ring to, definitely that boxing ring is not going to serve the purpose. I've been talking to the president during the last meeting that there is a boxing ring in Mamelodi, which we heard that they were given by Gauteng province, and then it's seated in somebody's yard, and it's not serving the purpose at all. And you can just imagine boxing ring is something which is very, very expensive. Now, I think clubs must learn that they must go to the federations so that they follow a protocol before being given equipment. And then as a result of that, then there's going to be accountability. Now, we have also people who are totally, their life is dedicated to the promotion of sport. But then what is happening is, because of we are in the development, you spend your family resources, that is finances, to go and travel as far as maybe spending per day, something like 70 rand on transport only. And at the end of the day, there is no person who's assisting you. We are not saying we need to be paid, but at least to have a stipend so that you mustn't affect your family resources. Because of that on its own, we find people who are qualified in sport no more participating because of they feel that their time is spent on things which somebody somewhere is not acknowledging the services which we give to our community. So I believe very much that please let us take our structures very serious, that you cannot as an individual go straight to the department without following the proper protocol or getting an acknowledgement letter of some sort and getting an assistance there. So somebody must belong to a certain organization before he can get assistance. So that at the end of the day, the equipment which I get to promote sport, it mustn't be my equipment. It must benefit the community at large. I don't want to be preaching, but I think in short, that is that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ntate Tseula. Can we get the second one? Thank you.
Good morning again. Thank you so much, Chairperson and the Portfolio Committee. When this thing of the club development started, we were told about it in December in CDB. The federations were called to a meeting to attend, and we were told that there's going to be changes. The focus is going to be on the clubs. The clubs needed to be compliant. Federations needed to be compliant. The challenge was that it's December, the clubs needed to be compliant. Most of our clubs are run by our people that do not have compliance in order. Others don't have NPOs, they don't have bank accounts, they don't have they are not registered on the central CSD, or they don't have the tax exemption certificates. So we tried to assist where we could. We were told as well that we needed to revive our local structures. We did that, we revived our structures, and with the federations, we are only focused on the clubs that are affiliated. So you need to be a member. So we revived the structures in Fuleni, Midval, and Lesedi. But unfortunately in Lesedi, they did not comply. They are not registered with us. So Midval and Lesedi are in good standing. The challenge is that now we are starting the year, we are starting the league, the clubs are not compliant. Only clubs that are affiliated, that are compliant, will get support. So it was a challenge for us. We were given a certain number that all clubs need to be affiliated. So we pushed for that, and all the clubs that were registered, we assisted them in registering with social development to get their NPO certificate. Others could, but others couldn't. Now, once you have the number that they needed, that, okay, all clubs have to be compliant. Now it changes. No, we're not going to support all of the clubs that are compliant. It's too much. The budget is not enough. Now you have to go back, and it's a struggle. You don't know which one to choose and which one not to choose. It's a very difficult situation. You have to go and check, okay, in Midval, how many teams can we support? How many clubs in Mfuleni can we support? And you also went in Listed, even though they were not affiliated, because we wanted them for next year, just to get a good start. It's very difficult. You want us to revive netball, to get people to play sports, but when we are trying to do what you want us to do, you're moving the post. So it was very difficult. Yeah, we had that challenge. After reviving those structures as well, now there's another challenge. The structures think that they are the federation. They want members to affiliate with them. So there's a lot of misinterpretation or imbalances. The members belong to Sedibeng Netball. We affiliate with Netball South Africa. So these local structures are coordinating on behalf of us. We are supposed to support them. And then after they've participated in their league, they are requesting us to give them the prizes. In that league, they need the stipends for the officials. The officials, they get paid to umpire the games. They don't just umpire for nothing. You give a stipend to an official. We need catering for our officials. We don't have that. So the support came in very late for the league. Remember, we had that meeting in December. Our league starts in March. We received our support in August, mid-August, ne? Last week of August. That's when we received our support. And the league is, we are finished with our league. So it's only few games that were given support in terms of transport. So when we got that transport, there's another challenge. Each and every federation has got, let's say maybe netball has got 6 taxis, and then basketball has got 4 taxis, you know. The service provider or the taxi drivers, sometimes they are drunk. The taxi of netball gets mixed with basketball people. You know, we don't get respected. We are transporting kids. Our kids are not safe. So I think the proper way of doing it is that the funds be transferred to the federation. So we know how to assist our people. Then we'll report, and we need to be held accountable. If maybe the funds we have chowed the money there. I think it has to be done that way. Because if you use your way of doing things with the government, Akira, you request the tenders, and they charge a lot of money. With us, we use our public transport. We ask them that we need maybe to Sebokeng, it's 600. We want a taxi from Sebokeng to Sharpeville, 600 for 15-seater. So it's less. So when you compare that amount and the money that the service provider charges the department, I mean, we could save. So I think we should start doing things in a way that the taxpayers' money is not wasted, and we get a value for money as well. We also have another challenge of the support in terms of our squads. We're having our national championship in Boksburg. They are starting on Sunday, 30th November up until 6 December. Some of the players have to pull out because they don't have money. They don't have money to pay for accommodation. Believe me, as a federation, we are trying. We are organizing fundraising tournaments to assist our members. At least when they go there, they have money for lunch, money for dinner. But we can't afford to give them money for transport. We can't afford to pay for accommodation. These are our district teams. These are our elite players in our districts. So, you know, when you go to the SPA champs, this is an opportunity for players to be selected, to be seen by the SPA Proteas coach, or also to trial for the provincial teams, your Telecom Netball League. So this is an opportunity. So if that player doesn't go and participate in that championship, that player will miss out. A good player will stay at home because she can afford. So if we can be assisted, I'm sure we can report accordingly and be held accountable when necessary. Thank you.
That's fine now, remove.
Hi, good morning and honorable chairperson. I think all of our sports federations is sitting with the same problem. The funding that you get, or is it don't go to the, sorry guys, I'm a clear Boertjie, so I'm Afrikaans, so excuse my English. The Pastor Bishop, you know me. But nevertheless, I think we've all got sitting with the same problem, and it falls down to equipment. In our boxing Johannesburg district, equipment is going to people that is not affiliated to our federation, and that's our concern. And we had a meeting a couple of months ago in Brixton Recreation Center. We asked the people, help us get advice, go back and see what you can do to get equipment to the right people. And till now, it never comes. We all, our federations, we do the same. When we go to national championships, we must do fundraisings. I'm very glad that I'm at the Donnie van Zyl Recreation Center. And that center is, I think, that lady there, the manager, she deserves a double pay every year and a double bonus, because she are looking after our sports at the Donnie van Zyl Center, and then sometimes from the sports and the recreation, they assist us with food and things for the day, medals and ambulance, medical, and we're glad for that. But at the end of the day, there's two things that I want to ask this committee. The equipment is not going to the right persons. And I ask you, please, can I have a look at that as well? So this is our concern. And then on the other side is, I want to ask if you can, luckily this is monitored, and I need to have, if from your side can help us to have a meeting with the Minister of Sport. The simple reason is, IBA is our International Boxing Federation. Also now we are affiliated to them, and as we talk next week, there will be a World Championships for the elite. They are in Dubai. So from our side, IBA is, and Sanabu is sending our boxers to the World Championships. Our concern is, IBA is out of the Olympic system. There's apparently a lot of corruption and this as normally. But World Boxing is now appointed by the IOC to govern boxing for the next 2028 Olympics. Our concern is we need to see the Minister of Sport to help us, in this case, to affiliate it to World Boxing, so then our boxers can have a chance to qualify and going to the World Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and all the multi-sport games. So this is what I ask, if you can just sign me up with the Minister of Sport. We need to see him, because he must help us very, very, very seriously, because our Sanabu is now 4 months that they don't affect to world boxing. So we are a group of presidents in our country that are following a group and a committee, and so yeah, we just cannot just break through to join world boxing. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry, just before you take the mic, I just want clarity, so that we get the comments correctly. There is where you mention IVA, so if you can just explain.
IBA.
Yes.
IBA is the International Boxing Association, where our national body, SANABU, is affiliated. IBA, International Boxing Association. But they still going on. Our boxers is going to the World Championships. We not say they mustn't go, they must go. The problem is that world boxing is now a new federation that's got recognition by the IOC to govern boxing for Olympics. So we need to join world boxing, and this is what I ask, where the Minister of Sport can help us and get our boxers on the road to Olympics, because it's now 12 years late that we didn't have any boxers in Olympics, and South Africa has got very good boxers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Disebo. Sure. Hope after this meeting we will see the changes happening in our communities and things that we are raising here, and they will be implemented, and we look forward to the report. You mentioned that the department gets to give municipality funds, but our facilities there, they are very terrible. I mean, I'm representing tennis. West Rand, all of them in the townships, they are terrible. You go to Kagiso, they are terrible. You go to Sharpeville, Sidibeng, there is only one club that they are using there. It's terrible. They have started stealing the fence, the tennis court, the ground itself. It's terrible. There is nothing of tennis or facilities in Sebokeng, other places. I mean, tennis courts are not being looked after. Maybe when we sat down and one had to think along, I think the last renovations of the tennis courts were mostly done during the old government. I mean, in the last 30 years, most of the facilities have not been renovated. So please look into the facilities, look into the renovations of the tennis courts. They are not of a good standard. Okay. And moving on to the second point that you also raised, the equipment that we are receiving as tennis from the department, it is not of a good standard. The rackets sometimes that they are giving us, I think they just pick them up from the crèche or somewhere there. They are not for professional use. So the equipment that the department is securing with the service provider, they are of the worst that can be compared to. Whenever we receive it, we mostly don't use it because it is not of a standard. All of us, even the players, we are using a professional equipment. Even the tennis balls, those are the tennis balls that are being used at serious tournaments, like professional tournaments. But sometimes we get tennis balls that way, like they were bought in maybe in a China mall or in a supermarket. Please, guys, I know the service provider will want to make money, but if we receive something that we're not gonna use, it was a waste of money for the department. Number 3, the assistance from the department it seems as if it is limited for a specific time. Most of the times it starts around August, and then all the kids will be excited. August, September, October will be excited. November, it tends to die, and then January, there is nothing. We need to wait for the new financial year once procurement is done. So activities mostly for sports are more like between August and maybe November. So there is not much to do outside those areas. So if the department can start procuring, or maybe our activities they can run for the whole year, that will help us. That will make sure that sports it's been taken to another level. Unlike we mostly run August up until December or even January. The other challenge with us as tennis, yes, we have assistants to run the league, but there is not much about the tournaments. You know, there are tournaments, even the ITF tournaments. We don't get to assess the standard of our kids, because most of the time the kids they play at the local stage, that is the league, and even the provincial league, but the sanctioned tournament that are run by federations, we don't get that assistance for them to participate there. And one tournament, it's worth around 480 or 520. You know, when you compare that to other races, they get to attend maybe 8 tournaments per year. You multiply 520 times 8 tournament, it's a quite big money, where our township players, the kids and the parents are not able to afford that. So if the department, if this committee can look into that opportunities whereby the kids needs to participate in the tournament so that they can have a ranking stats, and that will help us. Moving along, sometimes when the departments have secured maybe some events for us, you know, it will be helpful for us to receive, you know, the PO and said, this is what is coming, this is what has been assigned to your department, so that we know. Sometimes we'll have an event and along the way there are changes and you don't have a PO, you're not sure exactly what has been procured. So we need to know, we need to see, you know, a formal communications from the procurement department and say, for this department, for this event, this has been procured, maybe the taxi, the stipend, maybe that and that, so that we know and we are able to communicate the same to the players, to the team, to the clubs that are involved in that event. Okay, sorry, I had few things to go along. And the role of federations. Tennis, it's one sport whereby it is mostly in white's dominion. And I will encourage the sports portfolio to also look into most clubs, most federations, whereby whites are still in dominion, and check if the assistants get to reach the minority, you know. And when you go to the when you go to the suburbs, you will see that tennis is doing well there. And the assistants, the facilities, everything, it's going well. We will have an assistant to train coaches, but they will not last. They will relocate to the suburbs, because that's where everything is going well. And please, this committee, I'm humbly requesting that you also put an eye to the federations where whites are in dominion, to check that the assistance that it's required, it's mostly reaching the townships, because in our space we hardly see the federation putting efforts in all areas. You will see them in certain townships, yeah, there is an assistance there, but in other places, hey, we struggle to see them. And we are not sure if there are federations of, for tennis to cover the whole South Africa. Sometimes it's like there are federations for only a specific area. Please look into that if we really want to see development taking on. And then I think one more last item, it's, I think this year has been a tough one where there was a constraint of budget and it affected sports so much. Some other events were not being able to fund it. But the department knew that there was a cut of budget, but yet they allowed a middleman. And I think most of the funds went to the service providers that are in between that's supposed to deliver to the clubs. So if there is a possibility of budget cuts, can we also look into possibilities of minimizing the service providers so that the associations can have better money in order to manage all of the events? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, Nigalo sis, Mabasa analyze, sure.
Thank you for that. Just to add on what the chairperson forgot, right? I think you also mentioned something about giving the municipality funds for maintenance. But the other biggest problem that we've seen is that, for example, at Sports Center in Sandton, there's a wall, like a big arena indoor that's meant to be indoor. But we're finding it very difficult to use that indoor because it's being used for other stuff, like churches, funerals, where there's a wall down, like, yeah, a municipality wall just down the road. So therefore, sports comes in second.
Sorry,
It's no
can you
longer.
also, sorry, just to disturb you, can you include the details of the area that you're speaking about?
Oh, I'm speaking about Mfuleni Sebokeng. So, thank you. Yeah, so sorry, my tongue is a very difficult one, Shem. Yeah, so that's also one of the biggest challenges that I think we see. I mean, we can't even go and train when it's raining or it's just an issue. So if that can be sorted for us, I think that would definitely be great for us. And the other problem that I'm also seeing is that, yes, there is security around those facilities, but the securities will tell you that, no, I'm not here to look after the courts, I'm only here to look after the building. So what happens then? Everybody will then go through to the courts to actually damage that, but not the buildings. And then you ask yourself, what is then the point around that, right? And then coming back to the assistance, I mean, asking clubs to actually be compliant from what, like, for example, MPOs having bank accounts. It's a great initiative. I think it will definitely grow our clubs. But if we're not going to give clubs assistance and show them how to do that, for example, if we could call three banks to come and assist, we call SARS to come and assist, and literally have that day where every club walks in and does that. I mean, we can try and do it, but we don't have the funds to actually do that. So therefore, it is then left with the department to say, guys, how are you then assisting these clubs to actually get compliant? Because there's no point in saying people should be compliant, but there's nothing being done to assist them being compliant. And the other issue I'm also seeing is that because the department promises these things, people sit and expect them, and they don't get delivered, right? And once they don't get delivered, I mean, we're fighting against Maslow hierarchy here. There's two other foundations before you even get to the social one, which is like right in the middle. If we don't get support, I mean, no parent who can't even buy a bread of loaf will allow their child to go do sports. And people used to say netball is it's not an expensive sport. Unfortunately, it's a very expensive sport. I mean, those techies, We won't go into the types of balls we get from the department because we can't use them for a long time. Therefore, that's also not sustainable. So we need to find a way to be sustainable in everything that we do so that we can literally grow everything. And we speak about mass participation, but when it comes to putting in the funds for that mass participation, it becomes a problem, right? And I think the biggest thing out of this, I would love to see the sustainability of everything else versus anything.
Thank you, thank you. There's a gentleman there, and I think this side. You want to come back? Can I give you the last bite? Thank you.
Hello. I'm Tamu from Deaf Sport. I'd like to express some positives and negatives regarding Deaf Sports. First of all, the positives. Thank you so much to the department for the last 2 years, the funds that you have given us for our leagues, our soccer, our netball, our chess, and Gauteng. As well as we have 7 deaf athletes that have gone to the Deaf Olympics this year. So with regards to the negatives, the development for deaf sports in Gauteng, our problems are with the deaf learners. They don't really participate enough in the hearing leagues, like within soccer. The hearing people tend to disregard the deaf people. I'm not sure if it's a communication issue or what. The same as the hearing federations, they tend to disregard the deaf federations. They focus a lot on soccer and netball and chess, and that's all. But the other sports, there isn't really much support. Tennis, any different sport, there isn't really enough support. We as deaf people don't really know why. We need you as the federations to support the deaf. Don't disregard us. Work with us. That is the biggest problem that we're experiencing. It's the same at school levels. When teachers are teaching, it's not very good. There's very limited time, limited programs. That is a big challenge for us. When deaf people grow up, it's late for them to get involved into sports. That is our biggest challenge, that the federations really need to support the deaf more. Don't exclude deaf people. Let us be inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Can you come this side? The gentleman with the green t-shirt.
Good morning, everyone. I think my question both of my questions were covered. It's on procurement. So my emphasis on that is maybe with a bit of engagement, we'll get to understand why the department is using private companies as service providers. So my question is, I'd like to understand why did the department opt to use these private companies as service providers instead of using federations? Thank you.
Thank you. It's fine. Okay. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Rihanna here. Most of the points have been covered. What I need to say as a federation, a netball federation in Tshwane, we identify projects, we get corporate investment in our projects, and then we reach out to our stakeholders to get involved. Quite a successful process. The process is then endorsed by our stakeholders, and up now from the Sonchini Games, we're proudly to say that the process has been delivered players that move into provincial leagues as well as the national platform. So the development processes for us in Tshwane depends on good governance and projects. If we look at good governance and projects and we look at the current system this year that was introduced for club development, we cannot say that that process was fair or transparent. For netball in Tshwane, who has got about 160 registered clubs or clubs that's playing netball, the federation was requested to identify 7 only clubs that could get financial aid. It was impossible to identify 7 clubs out of 160 that is already playing netball and participating. We opted to then identify 7 new clubs that just started off grassroots. That brought a whole new spectrum, because not only did we have to get them fully governed, we had to train them in the art of playing netball. We had to give them facilities. In the end, also took over the report writing. None of the benefits went to the federation, but to the club itself. Like our colleague has mentioned, the club received very, very late in the year even the equipment. So for most of the year, the federation found itself to support 7 clubs without getting any financial gain of doing that. And that includes education, even the registration process. The funding came too late to register them according to the federation rules. And the district federation had to cover that funds and to upfront it, only to receive it much later. Regarding procurement processes, it's been mentioned all over. My question is, why can the federation, the district federation, not be a service provider? Because it is a sport-specific service that we are giving. And if we talk about education and the art of netball, once again, I think we would know better than a service provider. We recently found ourselves in a position where the project allowed, for instance, 20,000 Rand towards the project. The service provider was appointed, but the service provider really refused to pay out the value up to 20,000 Rand. They wanted to give us not even 50% of it, where we refused to service, and we just sent it back. We continued with the project without the service provider. Obviously, that also from the department side created a big problem, but also a lot of tension. There's no way that anybody can tell us that is good governance. And that is also, like our colleagues has mentioned, something that really needs to be investigated. I can understand if a federation is not in good standing, that maybe that financial process is a challenge. But this year, I think most of the federations really took the time to get in good standing. What we can say about federation support from stakeholders, you mentioned cities to receive funding to uphold facilities. I can categorically say that netball has not benefited anything from City of Tshwane. Actual fact, we had to take away some of the venues as safeguarding became a huge problem. There weren't even bathrooms for our girl childs to go to while they are playing leagues. So it became an unsafe situation. There were no support from that side. If there were any funding that went to the provincial structure, the provincial federation or the national federation to be applied towards development, I can categorically say that Tshwane Netball has not received any funding to such an effect, not from national, not from provincial. And what we did receive on a very limited basis from our North Corridor, is actually quite a shame, and is something that can only be applied for having maybe a small little award function. From the a question that we have for investigation during the World Cup, the Netball World Cup that was successfully hosted, we heard from the Parliament that sprung floors was allocated to every province, maybe just to investigate where Gauteng sprung floor is, because that is a tool to use and enhance performance. Tshwane Netball don't know where that sprung floor is. And for hosting any events, which our tourism department within the city of Tshwane is really encouraging us to do, we need to have a sprung floor. So maybe just where is the sprung floor that was allocated to the Gauteng province, so that we can also maybe utilize it and host bigger and better events. From a Tshwane Sports Confederation perspective, once again, no support from any stakeholder. whether it's the Gauteng Sports Confederation or national or the city of Tshwane. No formal MOU signed. So the mandate that you do get through the Sports Act, running 19 commissions, becomes an act of love. If you have a dedicated team that is elected as volunteers and they're willing to spend their own money traveling, using their data and using their experience to work in that 19 commissions, you will be successful. Nobody can expect anybody from a national or a district structure right through to a regional structure to run on a volunteer basis. So there is no support whatsoever for a sports confederation, but quite a reporting structure. So the Sports Confederation find themselves quite often accountable to report on certain commissions, but there is no support to help the Sports Confederation to really succeed and to excel in executing those tasks. I think that is all from my side. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good morning to the Honorable Chair and all the stakeholders who are here with us present. As alluded earlier, this is Jeff Monnakhotla from Sedibeng Volleyball Association, and I believe that from all the people who talked from Sedibeng, we share the same sentiments, we share the same challenges, and with volleyball in Sedibeng, I believe as I'm talking here, you'll also be able to hear that you are talking to a novice. We are a newly established Sedibeng Regional Federation for Volleyball. It's newly established last year, this year in August. And with regard to the compliance, we also tried our utmost best to ensure that we are compliant so that we can be able to receive all the necessary support that has been promised to all those federations and clubs that are compliant. But until so far, because we have our constitution, banking accounts, and registered as an NPO, but until now, unfortunately, we have not received the support that will ensure that volleyball in our region is well developed. Also, as a novice federation, I also wanted to maybe our different stakeholders like the Sports Council, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, as in particular the club development, our sports coordinators at the local and the district municipalities, probably to clarify their roles with regard to club development to us. How are they going to assist us? How are they going to support us so that sports could be vibrant and it could be in good standing, and then we'll be able to have good development in our regions, and our children should be able to benefit from such support and assistance for them. Because I'm sure that if they all have a mandate to support development, I'm sure that we wouldn't be having so much challenges that we are having currently. So all those different organizations like the Sports Council, Sports and Arts and Culture, and the sports coordinators, especially our local and district municipalities, we are actually not sure because we don't have meetings with them. They don't communicate with us to say this is what we can offer. If you need 1, 2, 3, this is what we can be able to do for you so that you could be able to develop sports to be at a level where it's supposed to be. And secondly, I think they also alluded to the issue of facilities in Enfuleni, that for volleyball, it's only one facility that can be utilized, which is the Sol Tsotesi Sports Center. And then as they indicated that we don't have access to it, because as clubs, as federations, if we want to use the indoor facility, there is this huge amount of money that we have to pay for the teams to play there. And always when we get there, you'll find that there are church services, there are funerals, there are parties, there are this whole lot of other activities that are happening there, except the sports. With the sports codes, they have to use the outside facilities, which are in most cases not in a good condition for our sports clubs or federations to utilize them. So that we can be able to achieve our objectives. There is only one volleyball facilities. If we want to organize volleyball activities or programs, then we have to actually talk to schools where we can be able, where they will allow us to use their school facilities. Otherwise, with regard to community facilities, we don't have. Maybe it should also clarify the issue of who is actually responsible for establishing those sports facilities, maintaining them, safeguarding them, and who should be responsible for that. And then if we know all those things, then I think it will be easier for us to work with them, because we'll be having information as to what is it that we need to do and what are the rules and what are our rules with regard to sports facilities in Enfuleni or Sidibeng per se. The other issue, I would also like to thank the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, especially the South Corridor, for the equipment that we have received. As a federation, the regional federation, there are only 3 balls that we have received. Those are the only things that we have received from them. And those balls, of course, as other people have also mentioned earlier on, those are the balls that we cannot be able to utilize because of the quality of those balls. And then we cannot actually be able to utilize them. And then we also receive 4 sets of attire from our South Corridor Sports, Arts and Culture. And the attire is the one that was used in the Sonchino Games. After the games, then the attire was donated to us. And there was also this day where all the coaches were invited to receive equipment. In Enfuleni, most of the coaches that were there, not actually most, I think about 3 or 4 coaches that went there, they received some equipment. And we were also invited. And then at the end of the presentations, we were told that volleyball does not have anything that has been sent forth for volleyball, and then we have to go back empty-handed. And yeah, those are some of the things that actually discourage and demotivate us as the coaches in the different regions. When we are supposed to get support, we don't actually get the necessary support. Our focus for 2024, like I indicated, that we are a newly established federation in Sidibeng as volleyball, is for us to have our league games. We have our year planned already, where we are going to have our league games, our development programs, our meetings, and other programs that will enhance volleyball or develop volleyball in Sidibeng. But now our fear is that all of those things, we have to organize them using our own funds, the money from our own pockets, because as in now, there is no indication whatever that there is any support that we are actually going to get from any of those organizations that I have mentioned, which is also one of the issues that I believe if we can be able to look at them and then they are addressed, then we can be able to move forward and know exactly what is it that we are facing next year, and then we should be able to brace ourselves or prepare ourselves well so that we can be able to do better. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have another hand? Okay, let's take you.
Good morning, everyone. I know I'm late, so I know that most of the points have just been addressed. My name is Katla Homutingwe, and I represent...
You are like me, don't worry.
And I represent Southern Gauteng Hockey Association, and the community development portfolio. And I think, like everybody else, finances have been the biggest thing that kind of hinder, most of the stuff that we do in our portfolios or within our different regions. But another thing, altogether, and something that every sporting code has kind of spoken about is the lack of facilities. And when I speak about hockey, one, we train on dilapidated netball courts in certain schools. We train on fields, and there's certain things where municipalities also don't allow us to use those fields because they are accommodated by other things as well. So I think even though we might go to private institutions and ask for sponsorships and help us in building these facilities, there's a lack of accountability as well as to the access that we have to these facilities. Also, where do we build these facilities? We've got so many soccer grounds altogether. And when I say we have, I'm speaking on behalf of some of the communities that I represent from a Southern Gauteng perspective. So in that aspect as well, it's also just looking at what does support look like, from the department. But I also would like to commend the department for the support that they've given. As much as it's financial and some of the resources, it might be little, but we've got so many other clubs as well that are looking forward. So again, it's just how we choose to support these clubs, the resources. Sports is expensive, whether it's soccer, whether it's netball or hockey or whatever. Sports is just generally, expensive. Snabo Koko, Nabo Auntie, and all these people that really want their kids to progress. But another hindrance also becomes, I think it's, whether it's the collaboration or the partnership, of DSEC and sports and Department of Education, because then these schools don't have sports within, their schooling calendars or things that they're doing. And then when we as clubs try and do these things, it also becomes really difficult for kids to then stand up for national tournaments or, selection for provincial and all those things. It also becomes 10 times harder for the clubs to then send their children, because one, they don't have the fitness levels, they're not training right, they're not doing that, they're not doing. So I think that partnership and collaboration between the two departments becomes really, really important, especially when we're doing things at grassroots level, because a parent buys into what the schools say before the clubs come into play, because the clubs also then become a private element where it's, certain monies or expectations that are there, but from a schooling perspective, we then play that support role. So I think that partnership also becomes a thing. And then from a federation perspective, I suppose in Gauteng, I know that we are divided, into 3 regions for hockey. But even with that being said, the coming together and the financial elements, the recognition, we look at, what our South African hockey team has done for us, and they came out 3rd with a bronze at an internationally recognized tournament, but there's no noise about it, there's no conversation about it. So how do we as clubs as well then speak into some of the sporting codes that we look into? So generally it is about the support of all the different sporting codes and not choosing to celebrate others and not some. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Colleagues, there's tea outside here. There's a station for tea for those who want to take a bite. It's important. Yes, you can come in, timer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I want to commend the officials for starting this process. Long overdue. Thank you. It's much appreciated. I want to start off firstly with club development. As football in Johannesburg, women's football has been playing for many, many years. The South African team consisted of mostly Johannesburg players at a point. Not now, I'm saying at one stage. We must do introspection. Why is federations failing in its mandate? One is facilities. Because do we have lights to train during winter? Nothing. Not one area has got those facilities. So I think I would propose that your sector or the legislature puts a task team together to look at infrastructure with each federation. I've witnessed an official going around looking at a code and making a summary of what his experiences are together with the federation, not outside the federation. So I would suggest that there is a task team for all facilities, for all federations, because each one of us has got different needs. Football, I'm not going to boast, but it's a bigger sport in Johannesburg. Fact, proven. So on facilities, the city of Johannesburg don't care about its citizens. Fact. Because nowhere can we host an international or a national or a provincial event on a mass participation. There's only one facility that can host it on a smaller scale. It's in Eldorado Park. Nowhere else besides going to the universities, and the universities has changed its attitude towards communities. They no longer want us there. It's a huge cost to use UJ with all its infrastructure, likewise with Wits University. We cannot access those facilities no more. Coming to the funding issue, I think there needs to be a look into the service providers. There are streams. Look into those streams of the funding. Who are those streams that is benefiting from that service provider? Because at the end, if the federation, there's a budget, the actual budget the federation gets is 10%. The rest, where it goes, needs to be looked into. The issue around supporting of individual organizations and individuals that's getting funding from the department to run tournaments, especially women's football tournaments, is a grave concern for the federation, because they ignore the federation and they use our very clubs that is registered with the federation to run their events. They don't go out to communities and take children that is not playing sports. So here's an event that just finished, supported by the Department of Sports of Gauteng. A year ago, 8 clubs was expelled. Women's clubs were expelled for doing wrong things. Because does government knows the federation's rules and regulations? I don't think so. Because the club signed up to be a member, they sign up, I will conform and abide by the rules and regulations. They enter tournaments, they don't ask permission, the tournament is not sanctioned. Those are all areas that they get punished on. Now there's 4 teams now on the verge of being expelled again. Are the department helping building women's football? No. They support it, yes, but they're destroying it in another way by giving all these loose structures funding. And it's not small money. Sometimes it's over 200,000-300,000 for one small 1-2-day event. Yet we run leagues for a whole 9 months and get a small budget, but yet one event over 2 weekends is 300,000-400,000. We've got that proof. We've just come back from one now. Every small event, the department's logo is there. So it means they're funding them. We put forward events for women's football in Johannesburg. No, we don't have a budget. No, we don't have a budget. But a budget is given to individuals. And look at who are those individuals. Some of them are from our same federation that is doing things behind the scenes, and they get away with it. So please, I think the issue of non-football structures must be looked into, how they get the funding from the department. The Sports Confederation in Johannesburg, there's a concern that we've raised. Nobody's taking it to task. How is it possible? The Constitution says of that confederation that a member serving must be a taxpayer within that metro or district. How is it possible in Johannesburg? Most of those officials stay in Ukuruleni, but they run Johannesburg. How is that possible? And yet the officials, Gauteng Confederation knows about it. City of Johannesburg knows about it. And yet they allow such things to happen under our watch. So these are things that's affecting things that must happen in the correct way. So, Chair, there's a lot of things that we can discuss, but I think the platform is opening up a further discussion, because what I'm listening to, what all the codes are saying, we are all in the same boat and the same problems. To service the country or to service the Gauteng province, we need a proper look into what is wrong and fix it. It's making us also perform wrongly if there's no governance throughout. So I plead, let's have regular sittings of this nature So that we as a federation, we've done it in the city of Johannesburg. All our members, from Midrand to Orange Farm to Soweto, El Dorado, whoever. Johannesburg is big, might be small in size. We gave a presentation to the city of how we can work together and fix sports in Johannesburg. Total ignorance. They ignored us completely. Till to date, there was supposed to be an MOU signed, I think in 2003, nothing. To date, we're still waiting. I thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have gentlemen that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take them all. Ne? Thank you. Yeah, you can start there.
Sorry, Chair. Can you also be noted also on the online side?
Okay, now you are noted. You will be the last one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to be short and sweet. I will try to be short and sweet. With just one challenge here for volleyball in Ekurhuleni. The challenge we have is the venue higher costs. We as a federation, we don't have much money to book venues. Volleyball is an indoor sport, so we should book halls. So we requested that can we get special rates for sports when we book the halls, please. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one. Thank you. That was sweet and short indeed.
Morning, everyone. It's Disebo from Sidibeng Basketball. My issue is about facilities in Sidibeng for basketball. We don't have any facilities for basketball in Sidibeng that are in good condition. It's either the courts are in good standard, but there are no posts. If there are posts, the court needs to be like the surface is not in a well condition for players. Then we only have two courts that are in the whole city, like in 3 municipalities. We only have one school in Everton, which is a primary school that we use for our league. It's in Fundo. Then we have VUT that is helping us out with the venue. Then in the rest of the municipalities, like Midval and Lesedi, we don't have any facilities. Even the ones that belongs to the municipality, they are no longer in good condition. And the one that was made in Khanyale Sedi, there are no poles. The court is still brand new. They did it and everything, but there are no poles. How can we play there when there's no poles? So we cannot go to that region and grow basketball that side because there's nothing that we can do. We asked for poles. We were given netball poles. Well, what can we do with that? Because it's not our sporting code. So that's what the government should assist us in having the right equipment for what we asked for, not being given the wrong equipment that is not in good use for us. Thanks. And secondly, for the equipment, we cannot be, in terms of balls, we are given balls that, and indoor balls instead of given outdoor balls. Because most of our team are training outdoors. We don't have any indoor facility where we are. And it's difficult for us to grow the sport. And we have a lot of kids who are interested in playing, but it's very difficult for coaches and even us, the federation, to assist. Then thanks. Those are my issues. Then the rest were raised.
Thanks, Disebo. Next.
Good day. My name is Sello. I'm from Sidibeng Basketball. I'm actually trying to make a suggestion to almost every problem we have. I think we all are aware that we are all dealing with kids. We all want to develop our sport, our sporting codes. Suggesting as from maybe something like 20 years back or 15, there was this program that the U department came up with that you be able to pay or to give stipends to other coaches to help schools, so that in schools there could be people from, I would like it to put it this way, in my way I'll suggest that you can go through our federations so that we can be able to put some of our coaches in schools, so that in schools, because in schools we have facilities there in most cases. In schools we have courts that are there. They are not so bad as the outside courts from the media. So I was suggesting if that program they can bring it back again, so that we can be able to help each other, the federations and the school, so that we can be able to develop the kids, especially for the federations, because we only get kids from schools. So I think it will be best if we can work hand in hand with schools, so that we can be able to be to have their facilities and et cetera, et cetera. I thank you.
Thank you, Brasijo. Can you take the next one?
Okay, thank you. My name is Easy again. I just have a suggestion maybe that can be looked at regarding the funding of the federations, to say if the federations can be made aware of how much is the budget, because we just work on a budget that we don't know, and maybe if we can have an input as to how to spend it. For example, if you say, Chess Western, your budget for the year from club development is 100,000. Can we then have an input as to say, we would like to prioritize spending it in this way and in this way? Because most of the time you told, no, it's just for catering and transport. But now we don't have equipment. Who do we transport who cannot train? So if we can have an input as to say, okay, our immediate needs are 1, 2, 3, can there be considerations as to how we would like this budget to be spent? Also, if we can get clarity on the role of the municipalities in assisting the sports and the clubs, so that maybe there's assistants sitting there, we don't know. Maybe there's somebody who's mandated to assist, we don't know. So that if we know that there are doors that we can knock at or what is expected from them, then we would know where to go. And also, in order for us to really say we developed, especially the townships, because that's where sometimes we have talent, but there's a lot of lack where there's no facilities. And when you look at sports like cricket, which is very expensive, it's a challenge for me because I'm also involved in that, where when you want a bat, just a cricket bat, you're looking at 1,000 something, 1.5, 2,000, just one bat. And you need such equipment for kids to be able to train and participate before we can even look at the transporting them to competitions. Maybe that also should be taken into account. And where I know some of the facilities for cricket are not cheap, if you want a cricket pitch, it's a lot of money. But maybe the department, together with the municipalities and schools, can have some sort of memorandum of understanding or a working relationship to say, okay, we don't have a cricket pitch in this township, but we do have this school which has cricket facilities. Can then the department and the municipalities have an understanding to say, this school, what can we do? Because the schools won't give their facilities for free. Can then there be a relationship to say, please assist with this club to use your facilities on such and such a time, so that it makes life easier for the clubs, because you'll be told to build a cricket pitch in a township is very expensive. So I would leave because the others have already been raised. But the main one is the middleman. Really, let's put him behind.
Thanks, Izzy. Yes?
With Dumela. Unfortunately, I'm going to be redundant, repeating things that have already been pointed out, but I would just like to reiterate and tell you my particular position. It has been raised before, we have an issue with facilities. I've recently been thrusted into a position of doing multiple sporting codes, which is basketball and chess. In regards with basketball, we have an issue of facilities, even in terms of schools. Schools are looking for coaches, but they have dilapidated courts. We need help in that regard. I want to quote him fully. Another thing, I'm tired of this volunteering thing. No.
Just repeat, I want to get that part. You're tired of what?
This volunteering thing, because I am a student, I'm unemployed as hell, nearly 30, imagine, and I'm still on Netflix. So I can't even buy my books because I have to buy balls for the kids. Next thing, I'm buying secondhand books. I have to gereza in the street just to ensure that the kids have a little something, because I know the community in which I live. If I don't do something, if the coaches around me don't do something, bana ba ya lebollo, bana ba joina the gang, they do drugs, lean, meth, and we are the first line of defense against that. So if you were to help, as I said again, we have an issue of equipment. The other thing that I'm doing is coaching chess. I'm not a very good coach. I'm doing my best. But the place where I'm coaching, there's quite literally one board. Andrew had to donate his boards. I had to donate a board. I am still saving up to buy more boards. There's no clocks, there's no nothing, so you have to use your phone, download an app. If we could get help in that regard too, I would be indebted with you. We are coaches and we work with development, we work with the youth, and what we would like, of course, is to see our kids get scholarships in universities, probably represent the country in different sporting codes. But it's hard to do that without the help from you powerful people. So if you could also help there, and we need also training for officials, for coaches, for scorekeepers. If you could help us with just these 5 things on my end personally, I'll even donate a kidney. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. The last one.
Just to add on what they've said regarding the basketball, another thing is that we get to learn a lot of things if we go on a district level or on a higher level. Like regarding the Sonchini. Sonchini, one thing I like about the Sonchini games is that they teach us to do safeguarding. Most teams are not even aware of safeguarding, how important safeguarding is. So I feel like it's one of the essential things that people need to, you need to implement on coaches and team managers to do, so they understand what's the importance of safeguarding. And also, the courses that you guys offer us from time to time, they're really helpful, but we acquire more courses that actually gonna benefit the team at the end of the day, like your first aid. Because if a child gets hurt, it's not every game or tournament whereby we're gonna find paramedics are there. And then the first aid kits that you guys provide, they don't have enough equipment inside. So some of the equipment we have to buy it ourselves, and to make sure that the kids do come to courts. And another thing in Sidibeng that we don't have is basketball tournaments. because I feel like the more we award these kids with medals, give them certificate for acknowledging what they're doing with their time, it motivates them to want to come back more to the courts. But because we don't have a lot of motivation, it's hard for a kid to come back at the end of the day. They get motivated if you're going to the Sonchini games or school development games. That's where they get to come to courts. But if we only gonna be situated in those activities, let alone for the whole year, it's not gonna work in us developing more kids. So I feel like we should account more tournaments, because with tournaments, I feel like it pushes kids to come to courts to wanna practice. At the end of the day, everyone wanna see themselves wearing a gold medal. There's no child doesn't wanna see themselves wearing a gold medal. So I feel like having such activities, it's a way also on how to get kids to be more involved and to develop even more effectively. And also to add on, in Sidibeng, I think we have 2 indoor courts. There's the one in Cyril and one in Zone 14. None of them are not used for proper manner activities. As they already mentioned that they use them for funerals and other ceremonies, but the more we introduce these kids into indoor courts, the only time they'll go to indoor courts is if we affiliate them on, we take them to vets tournaments, or they go to play somewhere else. That's when they get to play indoor. But if we can bring it in Sidibeng region, it's done on most communities, these kids, they will understand that there's different courts for every activities and each and every single time. And even if the weather changes, they know we're gonna go here so that they can still continue their games, and the love for the game for them is gonna improve. And lastly, what I wanna add is the safety of the kids, especially young girls. There's people that are taking advantages of young girls. So also us having a safeguarding regarding that, I feel it's gonna be more helpful for young girls to know that even if we go to the courts, we're gonna feel safe and we're gonna be secure. No one's gonna take any advantages from them. So I feel like those are the safe features that they also need to be implemented, so that each and every single person knows that when you go into the courts, you're not going to see, when you see a young child, you see your girlfriend or you see your boyfriend. It must not be the case. You must see a child who came to the court so that they're gonna feel safe and be protected in that atmosphere. So thank you.
Thank you very much. My sister, I had promised that I'll give you 2 minutes at the end. Yes.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank South Corridor for supporting us, even though the support, we received the support very late. Yeah, the issue of infrastructure, access control at our facilities. We're having people doing drugs within the facilities, especially at Solzoteti. Yeah, that support that you said you gave to the municipality, we didn't see it. As netball, we didn't receive any equipment. And during our leagues, we actually don't have medics, and it's very expensive. So if maybe the department, I would suggest maybe if you can't maybe give us funding for that, maybe work with the Department of Health in order for us to get medics during our league games. Maybe we can provide our the fixture, and then so that we can get medics on site each and every time we have those league games. And also, last time we attended a course, a financial course for non-financial managers, yeah. But we didn't get our certificates. There was a problem about the service provider or the facilitator not having the accreditation or something like that. If we can do your background checks before you give people to provide those services, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much.
Sebo, again, nothile. Yeah, please. Yes, yeah, come on.
Good day, Chairperson, nabantu bako. I'm Votile Jack from Tsakane Rugby Club. We also happy with your assistant so far. The only challenge we have is that we always play our home games away from home. That has been our norm. Reason being, Tsakane Stadiums, they've got only one ground, a proper ground, which only football plays there. There are a lot of clubs, you also do understand. But if you go to the municipality booking for the venue, they'll tell you they don't have poles for rugby. Now we have to play away from home. That has been the norm with us. So instead of saying we'll want to have our own ground, we'll just say it would be proper if Tsakane can get a sports complex whereby there will be more grounds. Then it will be able to help us as a Tsakane Rugby Club and other sporting codes or they are also struggling. So if you can get that, we'll be happy. The second part is because if we can have the facility within our community, now it means the parents of the children will be able to come and support their children when they are playing home games. Now it has to be away games, and then that makes us not to have the support from the immediate families. Now we have to be away from home, and then now it gives the opposition an opportunity to poach our players, including our coaches. Now you will recall we don't have a facility to train, first and foremost. Therefore, it's easy for them to be poached by the other clubs. Remember, there's no loyalty because we don't have a ground whereby we'll be able to steal such things. Then the second point I want to make is coaching. If you can also get assistance in terms of training our coaches so that we can be able to help the upcoming players so that they can grasp. Because as I've said, once a coach gets poached, of course, later on he'll come back and get some 3 or 4 players, which now it destabilizes our structure. Now we have to start from scratch, year in and year out, and then we lose what we are as a Tsakane Rugby Club. So that's the point I wanted to put it up front. I think we all have a common problems. I've heard, I cannot repeat them, which is true. I've just heard one speaker saying, remember Tsakane is in Ekurhuleni. So there is, apparently there's supposed to be a sports confederation or sports council, which now, again, as a committee, you need to go back to those regions. They have to go back to their district because one of the problems is that within that sports confederation, there's a sporting code which they took more chairs within it. Now, it makes them to see things from one perspective instead of being able to cover all the different sporting code. And then we know, again, others, they just want to be given positions. But when they get to be given in those positions, they don't understand their proper functionality, and then it takes us backwards again. Now we'll be pinpointing fingers to others. So I'm just saying to that speaker, who apparently there were those from our region, which is Ekurhuleni, they went to their region. Tell them, we're waiting for them there. They must come and help us out so that we can be able now to understand the aims and the objectives of the Sports Confederation so that we can be able to go to them and then tell them these are the kind of problems we have so that they can be able to help us out. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotman. Can you take the online contribution? You can come in, my brother.
Asbonge Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm not going to waste your time, and I think most of the things have been said. There is the one that I want to emphasize on, the one that Praizi spoke about in terms of the budget and the transparency in terms of to say, if you then have a funding for a particular sporting code for the league games, whether it's transport, it will be better for us to be in a position to know how much is it. Because if you are given 100,000 for a certain federation to run their league games, and then you only procure transport, and the other money, you don't know what happened to that particular money or what is happening with that. And when the report has been made, they say they have sponsored us with 100,000 in terms of procuring transport and food and everything like that. But we don't know really that report, you know, because we might be misquoted in so many things. Ne? As well as Western Volleyball, they are providing us with transport, for example, for the past year or so. And we don't know how much was there that was allocated for us. And another thing is that, just to emphasize that point, if, for example, when we organize the taxi for ourselves, we then pay around about 1.3, 1.5 to Kagiso from Carltonville. But when it's them as a service provider, you'll find that a service provider charges 6,000 just to transport us on that particular day. You see where the wastage of money that most of the speakers have spoke about, where it is. So we then need that transparency to say this is how much we have budgeted for a particular federation or association to run their league games, and we have an input on that to say, okay, this is so much. Then we can leave away others and focus on the transport. We don't need the food. The kids will then bring their own food when it comes to that. All those, ne? And then the quality of materials that we received, I think I don't have to stress more about it because we don't. The quality that we had, it's like eating on China, you know, like eating where China Mall, that quality. And we are expected to do that. Right now, we can't even put up those posts that they gave us for volleyball because as the hour, like it's something else. That's why when we speak about the quality of the balls, quality of the net, quality of the poles, they are portable poles. Yes, that's nice. We can put them in any grass or any field. We just draw a field and then play. But if the quality is not good, they use no point. There's no point in having them. And then there are facilities that municipalities have. Let's say for West Rand, we have identified facilities that are there, the sports recreations, right? But the quality of them and the maintenance on how they are maintained is not proper. And I feel that the department should then be able to do a dry run. When they give this money to the municipalities, let us, people who are playing sport and who are running the sporting codes, be part of that. Because you go to a field, you go to an indoor facility. When you look at the floor itself, you cannot even play basketball, volleyball, all those. You know, you then you ask yourself, what must we do in this facility? Because the budget was there to fix the facility, but now the supplier or whoever was fixing the facility did not speak to the specifications or did not know what to do with this facility. Remember, if for each and every sporting codes, we are the ones who know best which type of field do we need to play our games in. And then there is this issue, which is very important. You spoke about compliance, and clubs should be compliant to the federations, should have NPO, all these other things, should have a banking account, you know. We are one of those people that are struggling right now. We have sent our constitution and we are applied to the NPO. And then the response that we got was that our constitution needs to meet a certain criteria. We are lacking there and there. And now we cannot even open a bank account because we are still waiting for that NPO. Is it possible for the department, with all these other three departments, the Department of Sports, Social Development, who are in charge of this, what else? Also the banks, because somebody suggested to bring the banks along also, and have us in one place and tell us what are the requirements that will then social development needs, and assist us, all the clubs that are there that do not have an NPO, so that we can comply with the NPO. So that when the social development is here and then these are the documents that they need, and then we are able to give them to the bank immediately there, then that means we will all be compliant. Because if you are able to organize meetings, or you have the power and the strength to organize that, you can also organize the very same thing to say, look, we are calling all the clubs in Gauteng that do not have NPO, that needs to then comply then I think that process, if you tell us in advance and make sure that you equipped us and when it comes to these documents that are needed, in that one place, I think we will not be complaining of one thing, you know, because we have clubs. For example, in our federation, the federation does not have an NPO. Even the clubs do not have an NPO certificate. So we cannot be able to handle the money that we want from the department, or the department that could say, look, we entrust you guys to use this 100,000 wisely, but we cannot have that because we don't have these documents that they need. Can I propose we do that? I think that is all for on our side. Yeah, that is all for us as volleyball. That's my input, Chair.
Siyabonga, sibonga kakhulu for that. Cela ukusukuma ne. As a legislator sijwayele ukuhlala phansi. Ngoba yi-sitting, sihlala siphakathi kwama-sitting, mara ngicela ukusukuma. One, Chair, obviously member sticker is not here, so I'm thinking I'm proceeding with the program, and I'll give it back to you. But to say we have had the contributions and issues as raised by the stakeholders. You know, I like clarifying that we are not the department. Somewhere. So I like stressing it that we are not the department, but rather we are an oversight committee that does work on the department. So the department will come and present their annual plans, will approve and will approve budget. And then in the budget, they will say, we are going to give 100 sports club equipment. And then ours is to make sure that thing happens. So if they say we have given club 1 and club 2 and club 3, ours is to go and check club 1, club 2 and club 3 if they did get those materials. As the outcome of this meeting is influenced by that. I think it's an FIS meeting, right? Yes, it's influenced by that. The department will have said to us, no, on our drive of equipment, this is what we have done, and this is how far we have gone. So as the committee, we are expected, because at the end of the day, it's us who are representing the voters. So we are expected to come back and give you the feedback, but also engage as to what best measures that the department can take so that it delivers better to your needs as stakeholders. And there are not much of questions, Chair, as in questions, but mostly colleagues have raised challenges. And challenge number 1, as much as they agree that the department is indeed assisting, but there is a serious challenge in terms of access to facilities. All of them have touched on it. It's something that when we engage the department, we must put more emphasis. It also questions the IGR Mlatel, because these facilities are in the municipalities, but they still cannot access them. As to whether, what are they for? I mean, if there is a ground in my ward, I expect that my team must train there. I expect that the kids must use the court there. But if it's closed, sometimes you must talk to so and so, then it becomes a problem. But obviously, we must then engage as federations or associations locally in terms of access, because also it can't be that it's soccer Monday to Friday when there is rugby in the community, when there is cricket in the community. So there must be that sharing, but that must be managed at a level of federations. In federations, I know that people get elected, unless where there are problems, people then get appointed. And the appointments are always, in my knowledge, temporary. Rawea Mole Tulani, yours is that you must organize the sporting codes, for example, or you must organize clubs. Once they reach a certain number, then we must call a meeting where we are going to elect now the executive. So if us as communities, we allow the appointed to remain in office forever, it will be a problem because we end up not serving you, but serving what we do in office. So maybe it's something also that we must check because it can't be that we sit with federations, we sit with athletes, or we sit with federations, we sit with clubs, and you get the same responses. The others ought to be leaders to the other sector. So there must be that balance, that when we speak to an association, it mustn't sound like we are speaking to a club. Because that is where also we manage things. The individual applicants, remember government cannot chase a club away when it comes to apply. They must attend to a club as much as they attend to a federation. As here in the discussion, we know that when you assist the federation, you are assisting a number of people, but when you assist the club, you are assisting just one club. But the question is, who then complies? And coming to the issue of compliance, colleagues, it's something that we must encourage that it happens. It's unfortunate that government money is controlled by treasury. It's one bucket of money. Whether sports, education is still controlled from the same bucket. And the issuance thereof is the same. They will say you must register with CIPC, but CPRO, yeah, CPRO, CIPC, must have a tax clearance certificate, you must be in the CSD. Those are compliance issues as it relates to government. And as it relates to the sectors, mostly in sports, they will say it's an NPC and NPO, sometimes a CBO. I'm not sure if they are still registering them, but they used to register them, the community-based structures. So it's important that maybe also us as the legislature we must assist. I know we cannot do trainings, we can't afford accreditation, but we can do workshops where we assist stakeholders in terms of compliance issues, because compliance works everywhere. It might frustrate you now because you are working with government, but one day you will go to Sanlam. Sanlam you arrive, they want same thing. They say we want an NPO, we want your section 18A, the proof that you are tax exempted, so that when we donate to you, we are also going to claim the money somewhere. Because remember, always for you to get, you must give. So as much as they want to donate to us, they want a certain certificate so that they report somewhere that, no, I've assisted volleyball, Yako CDB and 100,000, and they claim it somewhere. And SARS also doesn't tax them that much when they donate. So compliance is something that we must make sure that we work towards, because we must not also give department a leg to stand on. When we don't comply, then they have a leg. No, those people are not complying. And then it ends just like that people are not complying. And those that are complying, as few as they are, they end up getting the whole budget because they do comply. So we want to encourage that on issues of compliance, let us work hard in making sure that we comply. Let us, even when we go back, let us make sure that we assist our clubs. Someone said we need to form a structure whereby the Department of Sports and social development work together in trying to assist. We can recommend that, but I'll still want to say to the colleagues seated in the roundtable discussion that we must raise our hands for us to be seen. And raising our hands means that we must do more on our own before we go to them. So, clean before Rebalata. So that when we go there, you don't give them a leg to say anything. They don't say, you know, you come to government, no, we want funding, but no, refer the NGO, you are not an NGO. But no, refer the NPO, you are not an NPO. No, refer the company, you are not a company. So it becomes a problem. We end up coming to these sessions and they sound like more of a complaint sessions than trying to develop each other. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that federations are developed, but also your structures do have an understanding. I know issues in soccer. I'm also a member of a local LFA where I come from. People even prioritize information. Information comes, people prioritize it. Yes, other people go, send letters on our behalf, but when the equipment comes, they operate it as the executive or some group there. It doesn't reach where it must go. They send a letter, for example, to sports that we have 32 teams. But when that kit comes, it benefits 10 teams. They keep them for tournaments that they will organize themselves. Do you know that when you have 4 kids, you can organize a tournament, most? When you have 4 kids, you call it a tournament. Yadula kausani, kiti semi-final, back in a final. Ba lose it, number 3, 4, batola the kid. It's a tournament, klar. So people use those things to try, I don't know, build what, because sometimes it's not about contestation in federations, but people still do it. So it also says a lot about the people that we are electing in our federations, and maybe also allowing these things to happen in our federations. That's another thing. Another take-home chairperson is the quality of the resources that is given to our people. I think we raised this in the past. I'm not sure what must we do now to the department, because this is not the first time that we sit and everybody says, no, the ball was not good, the T-shirt was not good, the jacket was as bad, the bat was as if they took it from the street. I heard someone saying, the Chinese, they sell good things. We must not say Chinese. There are those that sell wrong things. But China, they do quite a lot of things that the world uses, and it's top material. But there are those that we know that are not selling quality materials. So the quality of material is questionable at all levels. There is no one who spoke about it and didn't say it's not quality. So it's one issue that the department ought to attend to. I don't know, maybe we must say they must stop buying and they must get cooperatives, maybe something like that, so that they go back to townships and get Abu Mama that are doing sewing, so that they start availing these things. We know that their material is more strong, or their quality checking standards must be reviewed, because it's quite a serious challenge and it's a problem. It's also a takeaway that we must attend to. One important also takeaway is the recognition of the deaf community, that they do exist in sports codes, but they only exist in very few. I think they mentioned 3, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a request that we play a role in making sure that they also partake at all levels. The main worry is that when they get old, then it becomes a problem if they are not nurtured at the young stage. So it's important that the department must start implementing, but the federations mostly must have these sectors in their codes, must have a sector of the deaf community, so that if they are there in your community, then you are able that they can form part and partake in all your programs. It's one very important takeaway. Another takeaway is the timing of the assistance or the support. Sometimes they come to you in March. Our league opens in July, it closes in May, or it closes in February. In March, we are not doing anything. And they come in March and want to give donations. I'm not sure how to deal with that, because I don't know how you communicate between yourselves and the department itself. But what I will advise is that then it means moving forward, you must work on programs. You must advise the department on your programs. We know with us in soccer, it's always March, we close sometimes in December, open again, but during May, June, we are doing nothing. So it would be immoral of us to even take the donations during that time. But what if they bring them during that time? We take them and wanting to keep them for the upcoming season. So maybe you need to define your programs as you engage with government. That tennis season in South Africa is these months. Volleyball season in Gauteng, it's these months. Soccer is these months. Cricket, hockey. There's also an outcry that in other sporting codes, the government is not as active. Baseball was mentioned as one, and I think basketball. Government is not as active as they are with the other sporting codes. So those chair would be the takeaway that I would have taken. I've put them all, I was summarizing, but what I did here is that I've put all contributions per person into a perspective. So I was just summarizing when I give these 5 points because it's what I thought it's important from the engagement. But we have taken all issues. There are those that needs your specific response where we need to go to the department, for example, and say, what's happening in Mamelodi, in Tatetseul? What facilities can be used there? Link them with the federation, obviously. Get a person in the city using the IGR, and then we link you. I mean, in CDB, they are saying there are 2 courts, and most of them, as and when they speak, they do mention that point, that there are only 2 courts in the whole of CDB. It's something that we must do research on, but it's something that is uncalled for. We need to pressure the department to say no, but can you build extra 2 courts there? The level of courts that are there, that are existing, the renovations are poorly done. There is a need to renovate them, but also to add more. There are questions related to crime and security, but we said to the department, the new Kumbi courts that they must be building, they can even build them in schools for sake of security. So they can go, that is why we have recently safe hubs. I don't know if in your areas there is something like that. Safe hubs, we build them closer to the schools now for issues of security. But those safe hubs are not a school ground. They are a community facility. The community must have access, obvious for control and usages. We must have a program so that we don't all come and want to play soccer when others have booked and doing something. There are issues in relation to boxing. That boxing needs to be attended to in the province. There was even a comment that someone is hosting the material in his yard of the federation. When he's bored, he just opens the ring and trains alone there, while the community is not using the material. We must get to bottom of such issues. The meeting that is requested with the Minister of Sports, obviously we are doing oversight over the MEC, so we must communicate via MEC. We will talk to the MEC, but I think we can also write to our sister committee in the national in relation to the meeting with the minister so that he can come and meet the boxing people to engage on issues of the boxing so that they can participate in the International Boxing Association, because I think we've missed years of not participating in these Olympic Games. Other colleagues have thanked the department for assistance, though they've also raised issues that the assistance itself, the resources given, the quality was not good. It came at the wrong time when we did not need it. So it ends up by saying the program itself, Chair, is not impactful to the people it is supposed to be benefiting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Dlovu. I think
You have represented the committee very well, and thank you for holding the fort in this session. Please do not take lightly this session, because all inputs that we have made today will be incorporated into the final oversight report, and this will inform the committee recommendations to the department. So that FIS report that we'll be doing will be informed by some of the inputs that we'll have made today, and then in our final recommendations to the department, your input will play a big part in it. So the goal is to ensure that there is sufficient club development funding, there is equipment distribution, training facilities are up to par, and the real needs are aligned. We don't just assume that this is what is needed on the ground, but your input will be the one guiding this committee on what's need to happen and what we need to recommend to the department. So once we have consolidated all the submissions, including that today, we will then engage the department formally and tell them we went an oversight, we spoke to everyone, and this is what has surfaced. So this is what needs to happen. So because for us, we don't do oversight just to tick compliance. We are doing it because this is what must happen. What must happen? There must be a question. What needs to be done? And you have provided us with an insight on what needs to be done. And we'll do due diligence, chair of chairs, with the deliberations of today. And thank you very much again for the work that you do in the communities, for keeping our children off the street, and to make sure that we have hegemony in our communities. Development starts exactly where you are. That is where development starts, from grassroots level, and we do appreciate you for that. So we just need to make sure that there is sufficient support for all of you to continue, so that our children and our communities can benefit. So once again, we appreciate your presence here, and we hope this is a start of a working relation moving forward. Thank you, and the meeting is officially adjourned. Before the meeting is adjourned, I think I take back the adjournment part. So all stakeholders who still wants to do further input there, that could not speak today, or there's something that you forgot, and then you remembered after you spoke, you can direct all of them to Lwandile. Fana ka email ya hao. So Lwandile will be able to assist you with his email, so that you can forward all your input that you think was not expressed enough, so that we can also incorporate in the final recommendations to the department. We do have a view on support and funding to the municipalities, but I think we will express that more with the department on a working relationship. So any announcement on food? Lunch. Oh, there is lunch at the restaurant. Aba fitla ba reng? Oh, legislature. Ali fitla le re le legislature, we do have prepared lunch for you so that liska re bua hampe hore batho ba ntlong e ba fitla ra bua fetsa ho bua ba re tanki re lebohile. So we do invite you to lunch and then we can all go home and work more for our communities. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.